What caused the war? The British were in control of the U.S. coast and were stopping American trading ships and stealing American sailors through the practice of impressment. This made the Americans furious, but mostly the war hawks like Henry Clay and John C. Calhoun, who were pushing Madison to go to war. If the British practice of impressment wasn't enough, the British were giving Tecumseh's Indian Confederacy weapons and encouraged them to attack the Americans. The War Hawks were people elected into Congress during the 1810 elections. Several gained very influential positions, like Henry Clay, the Speaker of the House. Many of the War Hawks were also from the Democrat-Republican Party, so they didn't like the British. They went out of their way to convince most of Congress to vote in favor of increasing spending on military and going to war with the British again. Sir. Are you an actual... Here we have an actual expert on Oliver Hazard Perry. Tell me everything you know.
Stupid teenagers!
According to this dragon, Oliver Hazard Perry was an American naval commander in the War of 1812. After taking control of the ship Revenge in 1809, he became ill and was forced into a transfer in 1810. He remained unemployed until May of 1812, when the threat of war made him start to look for a new job. He was assigned to command some gunboats at Newport. He had to report to Isaac Chauncey on the Great Lakes in February 8, 1813. On September 10th, Perry spotted some British ships. The British ships destroyed half the American flagship, so Perry moved it to the Niagara. The battle turns in favor of America, and the British surrender. Perry later states to Harrison, "We have met the enemy, and they are ours." After William Henry Harrison won at the Thames River, Perry served as a volunteer aide to Harrison. On July 1814, Perry took command of the Java and helped protect Baltimore and Washington at the end of the war. This young person we interviewed tells us about the life of Chief Tecumseh and how he has prevented this youth and her family from moving westward and settling. Chief Tecumseh was a Shawnee Native American who brought together Indians from the Shawnee, Powhatan, Kickapoo, Winnebago, Menominee, Ottawa, and Wyandot nations into the Ohio Valley Confederacy, or Tecumseh's Indian Confederacy. He led his confederacy to prevent Americans from settling any further west. He fought and died in the Battle of Thames, and his confederacy died with him. So what do you know about Andrew Jackson's role in the War of 1812?
Well, Andrew Jackson, now let me see. He was my great, 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 great. Great, 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 great grandfather. Oh, well, he came over for a visit. He's right over there. Now, back in the day, Andrew Jackson was also known as Old Hickory. He was considered the hero of New Orleans for his work in defeating the British, even though the war was technically already over. Now, he led the troops in the Southwest and defeated the British in December, and eventually ended the fighting with the Treaty of Ghent.
The summer of the Battle of Washington, D.C., 1814, was one of the hottest summers on record. The townspeople had heard that the British were coming to attack, although they had mainly been attacking the Great Lakes area for the last 2 years. The British were under General Robert Ross and Rear Admiral George Cockburn. On August 4th, Dolly Madison sees the British troops coming and loads a few valuable items like Washington's portraits and leaves just before the soldiers arrive. The soldiers burn all buildings, including the Senate, House of Representatives, Library of Congress, and the White House. Suddenly, a massive storm hits, complete with lightning, thunder, and tornadoes. As the Americans hid, the British soldiers panicked as their flames were quenched. They got lost, and in the dark, some even drowned in the Potomac River. From the weather, more British men died than from American fire. The following footage was recorded on August 4th, 1814, during the Battle of Washington, showing how chaotic and pitch black it was due to the storm. The Star-Spangled Banner was written by Francis Scott Key on September 1814. In September, Francis Scott Key boarded the British flagship to ask them to release his friend. The British were about to release them, but then they had to keep them because of the attack the British were about to make on the American Fort McHenry. Key was sure that the British would win, that had 5,000 British soldiers and 19 ships. But when the 25-hour attack ended, Key saw that the American flag was still there. His poem was originally called Defense of Fort McHenry and was later put to the enactment song by John Stafford Smith. It was officially adopted as our national anthem by Congress in 1931. This political cartoon was called A Boxing Match, or Another Bloody Nose, for John Bull. This political cartoon was produced in 1813 by W. Charles Dell et Sculp. The bleeding man on the left is John Bull, which represents Britain. Jonathan, on the right, is a precedent to Uncle Sam and represents the U.S. A literal text of the cartoon shows America mocking the British for challenging them and calls America an enterprising nation. The true meaning of the cartoon refers to when the American Enterprise captured the British brig Boxer in September of 1813, as shown by the two ships in the background. This cartoon praised American military accomplishments, boosted morale, and increased patriotism. What were the effects of the war? After the Treaty of Ghent and the end of the War of 1812, the U.S. was seen as a more strong and capable country. It also gave the U.S. a better relationship with Britain and brought the death of the Federalist Party. You're an expert on Oliver Hazard Perry.
Stupid teenagers!
I can't. So what do you know about Andrew Jackson's war? I can't. So what? I can't. Just jump off the edge.
I've already started.
Oh!
Oh my God! It's me. He's not getting out of that one.
Federalist Party?
Yeah!
Or you could just say,
Yeah!
the Federalist Party is
Yeah!
tennis. Use it
Yeah.
for the Federalist Party.
Yeah!
Die. That works.
Raiders and die.